Number 1, civil target is flash 4, Bravo, 65, 20, low. Everyone.
Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome to another edition tonight. How you doing, ma'am?
I'm doing great. Thank you. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Oh, half foot in the grave and half out. But, I made it tonight. I kept telling Mary, faster, I got to get home. At the pharmacy, ladies and gentlemen, picking up meds. But I'm starting to feel a little bit better.
That's
but
good.
hey, I tell you, I haven't been this down in a long time. I mean, it's been awful.
I'm so sorry to hear that. So much is going around, right? Between bird flu that's not really bird flu to who knows what, right? People are getting sick all over. But
I think I had bird flu. I think I had, what do you call that one, Mary? The rhinovirus, the canary virus, the whatever. I don't know what it was, but it took my world upside down.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but I actually have something that might help you and help anybody else tuning in. That a fact came to me very randomly this week. I was out shoveling and snow blowing because we got a lot of snow this last week, and I was just sorer than sore. So I went to a massage therapist. And we were yakking, and she is actually 72 years old. And she, for 40 years, has been an herbalist. And she lives on a farm, and she teaches the Amish, right? So she knows her stuff.
Now that's impressive. Right? She teaches the Amish.
So she grows all her own herbs. She makes tinctures and all kinds of stuff. And she was telling me,
what's a tincture?
Tincture is where you take either the root of a herb
and soak it,
and you soak it
that's right.
Usually you pass it through vodka or something like that will extract the medicinal properties out of the leaf or the root, and sometimes you have to cook it and do different things. But she was telling me about 2 different herbs, and I'm like, I'm 62. How the hell have I never heard about these? And I know about all kinds of holistic stuff. So there's 2 herbs that she swears by. And she said, she even used the example of her 86-year-old mother who came down with horrible cold flu symptoms. And she dosed herself with these 2 different herbs. And within 24 hours, not a sign of anything, right? Somebody else, she's been handing these herbs out to different people and families, and they're passing around. So I'm like, tell me the names of them at least. So one is called Ella Campaign, and the other is called Blue Vervain. And she actually took out this herbology book and went through about how it's all this good for clearing out muck from the lungs and getting rid of mucus and getting rid of sinus infections. And I'm like, oh my God, there's so many people that can use this. So I told her, I said, I want to buy some of those tinctures next week or 2 weeks from now. I'll see her again. I'll buy some. But I told her, I said, I want to learn how to make this stuff because I have a farm here. I live on a farm. I could grow herbs. I could grow some of this stuff. But I was just flabbergasted that I had never heard about these particular herbs that are so effective at knocking out cold and flu symptoms. And she said back in when COVID was going around, as soon as anybody she knew in her family or an extended family and friends got symptoms of COVID, gave her
We
a
have to
dose of
say pandemic. We have to say
gone.
pandemic.
Yeah. So anyway, Ella Campaign is one and blue vervain is the other. So if your local health food store has it, I would recommend. And she said the Ella Campaign comes both in capsules as well as in tinctures, and the blue vervain, the same thing. You can get them in capsules, but apparently they are just amazing at helping to knock out any cold or flu symptoms. So like I said, how did I live to be 62 and never heard about these things? I have no idea.
Now I'll take Ghost Pipe.
Okay. And that helps you?
Yeah, it does. And that's a tribal herb from the Indians.
Yep. Cool.
And I didn't think nothing of it, but it does. It works.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, all, not some, all of pharmacology is based on extracts and elements that they found in nature, plants. Aspirin is the synthetic version of willow bark, right? You look at all the different things. Everything started with plants and roots and things that are out in nature that wise people knew how to harvest it and use it. And maybe it was through trial and error, who knows, or maybe divine inspiration, but they learned how to do all this stuff. So anyway, I just thought it was just amazing that this came up for a natural remedy for any kind of colds, cold sores. Actually, cold sores, I found this out too the other day, that bromelain, which is in pineapple, the enzyme in that pineapple helps to break down proteins and is very good to help with digestion and clear out your whole digestive tract. But one of the reasons if you eat too much pineapple that you get like those canker sores and stuff in your mouth is because your tongue is a muscle, and that bromelain starts right away with working on it. So after you eat pineapple, you should always rinse your mouth out a little bit to dilute. So it keeps all of those enzymes in your digestive tract and doesn't mess around with your mouth at all. But I thought that was pretty cool. So like all these like random, like helpful hints, advice. I'm like, okay, I'll make a note of that. But I also told her, I said, when's the last time you taught a class? And it's been 2 years since she taught the Amish. She had 21 Amish women come and take a class from her to learn how to make all the stuff that she does and how, what herbs do what things and how to grow them and what parts to harvest and what's good for what. So as soon as I heard the Amish were going to her, I'm like, okay, this lady, and she's been doing it for 40 years. I'm like, okay, lady, you got to teach at least one more course. I will gather people together here. I said, I'll put it together in the summer, we'll make sure we have enough people. But I said, I want to learn this stuff, and learning from somebody who's been doing it and using it for life. I'm like, for most of her life, I'm like, yeah, right. And I also, and folks, pay attention when things just show up in your life. If you can pay attention to those synchronicities and those like, wow, this whole topic just came into your awareness and it's never been in your awareness before, there's a reason for it. Spirit for me directly brought this contact with this woman to learn something I never even thought I'd be interested in. And yet it's like, wait a minute, in this day and age when there's all this other crazy stuff going on and pharmaceuticals are, they're through the roof if you can afford them. And then your insurance has to say whether or not you can get them or not and all this other crap, pardon me. But, if I can learn how to grow my own and harvest it and make it and have it there for friends or family and tell other people, because I got a big mouth and I'll share, right, how to do this, why not? Especially if there's weird stuff that starts coming around and it takes the FDA and the pharmaceutical companies a long time to figure it out. But if there's old herbal remedies that have been known to help with those issues and areas, and there's no real downside to them, why not? Why not go for it? So, yeah. So anyway, that Ella Campaign and blue vervain. So anybody who's dealing with any kind of respiratory, cold, flu, congestion, that kind of stuff. Look it up and see if your health food store has some, or get them online. You could probably order it. You know what? Amazon has everything. I didn't look, but they probably have some there on Amazon too. But yeah, so one of the lessons there is pay attention in your life when something kind of comes out of left field at you. It's probably an opportunity to look at it again, or to entertain the thought of, how could this help me be better at doing what I thought I was going to be doing, And then the other part is sometimes things will circle back around. This woman also does something called ion cleanse, where you stick your feet in water with this device, and it supposedly sucks out toxins from the body, and helps, because your feet, when you do reflexology, there's reference points and reflex points to every part of your body, and your feet can, sweat out through the pores and let out toxins, and so it soaks into the body. Well, I used to have one of these machines probably 20 years ago, and I had done that a lot for other people back when I lived in New York, and I totally forgot about them. And I said, this is something that's very helpful. And in this day and age, we all need to detoxify a little bit more. So it just kind of brought it back around of, there's so many different tools and techniques out there that if you're in a mode of detoxing or healing or working on a particular skill that you want to learn, there are so many ways and so many tools that are out there and available. It's almost like we just have to remember that they're there and use them, or look and see, like, okay, what's the modern updated version of this thing? Or is it better to go back to the original, like with the herbology, and say, okay, maybe there's a modern drug that can do it, but if it's based on these herbs and roots, maybe I go back to the herbs and roots. And if I can, now, obviously, if you live in a city and you don't have the ability to grow things in your garden, obviously you're a little bit more limited. Some things will grow in the house, you can have container gardens and that sort of thing. But anyway, the point here is pay attention to what shows up in your life, especially if it seems to be in alignment with the direction you're going in. So like in my case, my direction lately has been declutter in the house, trying to heal my body, kind of get myself ready for the spring and the summer and the rest of this year, because I feel like it's going to be a very busy, productive time with all kinds of energy coming through and information coming through. And I need to be the best vessel for that and be my best self if I'm going to be able to reach out and help you all and share information and answer questions and that sort of thing. Along that line of what's coming up, I've just worked with a shaman friend of mine, Craig Gingulis, and we have put together a retreat in Sedona, which is going to be May 16, 17, and 18 of this year. And it's going to be focusing on preparing for ascension energy and how to quicken our energy field, how to take our spiritual gifts and amp them up. And if you don't know what your spiritual gifts are, how to find them, how to develop those intuition and intuitive spiritual psychic abilities, and how to expand your awareness and consciousness and accelerate your whole energy so it can be more in alignment for the changes that are coming down the road. So that 3-day intensive, May 16, 17, 18, if you are interested in attending that, then please go to my website, AletheaJacob.com. As soon as you get to that homepage, there's a little button right in the middle that says happening soon. Click on that and it'll bring you to all the information about the retreat. So if you're so inclined, come to Sedona, come have some fun and learn some really cool stuff. And anyway, that's that little teaser there. Okay, so I did pick some cards for us, like I normally do, for messages and meanings for everybody from Spirit. And so the first card that I selected tonight that came up was imagination. And it says, thoughts are the building blocks of life, for everything begins with a thought. Add creativity to your thought, and then you have imagination. Every castle starts as a castle in the air. This image is then grounded by architects and builders. Your angels are inviting you to use the power of your creative imagination to expand your horizons and picture the the life that you want. This is important. When you hold a vision clearly, the angels that are helping you can see the clarity of your intention and help to open up the doors of opportunities for you. Your angel wisdom guides you to decide your desired outcomes and be certain of your intentions. Imagine your dreams and start the process of creation. Picture positive outcomes for your highest good. So we've talked about this before, and it's a nice way of saying where your thoughts go, energy flows, right? As you see it, as you imagine it, you become a co-creator for everything that's going on in your life. So it's important as you're deciding, well, what is it that you want? Who is the you that you are becoming, but you just aren't there yet, right? What is that goal, that soul purpose, that creativity, that spiritual gift that you want to express, that soul purpose that you want to actualize, that you're in the process of creating, but you just haven't quite got there yet. So as you figure those things out, using your imagination to say, okay, because a lot of times I'll ask somebody, since I'm a life coach, I'll ask them, so what do you want? I don't know. They'll say. I said, well, okay, well, imagine you did know. What might that be? Right? Sometimes you just have to give yourself permission to take the pressure off and just be playful and have a sense of curiosity and allow any of the rigid thinking that you might have to, don't let that stop you, get it out of the way and just make it a lot more playful. The next card that I chose today is the opportunity to forgive. And this angel card says, the situation brings you the opportunity to heal, grow, and release any negative patterns. Hold the intention of seeing the other person's inner divine light and goodness. We, your angels, will help you release any unforgiving thoughts, feelings, and energies and lift you to a higher place of peace and compassion. So why do we forgive other people? Well, I think first and foremost is when it comes down to a soul level, there is no other. We're all connected, right? We are all different aspects of one life force, one creator soul that's out there, that's created us, right? And we're all interconnected in some way. So if we have negative feelings towards another person, that energy is stuck in our energy field. We're holding on to negative energy, which may or may not affect the other person at all. If somebody asks us for forgiveness, it is one of the most gracious, loving things we can do to grant that. To forgive does not necessarily mean that you forget and absolve the person of responsibility or the consequences of their actions. It just means you are not going to dwell on negativity and on the thoughts that pull you down into the quicksand, thinking about the situation. And many times, the first person we have to forgive is ourselves. We have to get to that point where we are willing to say, you know what? I did the best I could at the time, with the resources I had available to me. And maybe I had an oops, or maybe I screwed up, but I'm learned from that. And I'm trying to repent from it or go back and make amends if I hurt somebody because of what I did. But you try to make it right. And you start with making it right for yourself as well as for others. All right. And then the third oracle card I chose today is receptivity. And receptivity says, pay attention to those creative thoughts. Oh, it goes back to the first one. Open your psychic senses and receive direction. Listen to the ideas that others offer you. It is time to be approachable and friendly. Right? So if we're using our imagination and we're putting our energy out there to manifest and create the life we want, the changes we want, the improvements in ourself that we're going for, trying to become the best possible version of us that we can, it's really important as we put it out there that we're receptive to see what shows back up, right? What mirrors pop up to us or signs pop up to us and say, oh, work on this or try this, or, hey, since you want to make an improvement in this area, here's some help. Here's some guidance. here's somebody else who can be a role model or guide or coach for you as you're making those changes. So being receptive tells the universe, hey, I'm serious about this. I'm open to help. I want to make this change. I want to do this right. And when somebody gives you advice about something, especially if it's unsolicited, but it fits into the model. So, for example, I was with a physical therapist, and she started talking to me about eating right for your blood type. And this is something that goes way back. I think the book first came out in the 70s or 80s. And she said they're kind of revisiting that, how important it is to eat for your blood type, because certain blood types don't make enzymes to digest certain foods as effectively as other blood types. And so, for example, I'm a type A, and so according to the book, I don't process red meats and dairy as well as somebody who might be type B or O blood type. So if I have those foods, I should take enzymes that help me digest it better, and that'll help me feel better, help my gut feel better, I'll sleep better. And it was interesting because she was just sharing this conversation as she was working on me, as we we're going through the physical therapy session. But the interesting thing is I've been working on detoxifying and asking spirit, what specific things can I do to get healthier? And so this seemed like a really random, weird conversation to be having in the middle of a physical therapy session, but it was exactly the right thing that I needed. So I was listening to this receptivity before I even got the card here. I was like, I've taught myself that if I've asked spirit for help to make a positive enhancement or improvement or make a change or work on something, if information comes, especially from out of left field, I'm going to pay attention to that because I know it's spirit directed. And most likely it's going to be something interesting that I should pay attention to and possibly try. So I ordered the book online from Amazon, Eating Right for Your Blood Type. And I started looking through and I started laughing because like 90% of my diet of the things that I tend to like to eat and have been eating are on the avoid these or don't eat these too much if you're a type A blood type. And I'm like, oh, all right, well, no wonder I have certain challenges. So it gave me this big aha. But if I had just kind of blown off that conversation as just the ramblings of the physical therapist versus, oh, this might be something spirit wants me to pay attention to, I wouldn't have gone that next couple of steps. So I really encourage you, when you have this information that comes to you, to your awareness from left field, that you are receptive to it. And that you may say, well, I heard about that before. And then maybe it's something like the keto diet, right? And you're like, oh, I heard about that keto diet. And somebody starts talking to you about it and how it works. And it's like, oh, give it a try. If that's something that comes to your awareness when you're asking a question, how can I have more energy, sleep better, feel healthier, whatnot, right? So you don't have to do it forever. It's not like signing a contract in blood, right? Nope, none of that. You can just say, I'm going to try this for a couple of weeks or a month and see how I feel, right? You don't have to make a permanent change because something comes to your awareness right away, unless it's such a major epiphany. It's like, oh my God, how did I not know about this before? And then you go all in. You can dive in as much as you want, but all I'm asking you to do is pay attention to when those random pieces of information pop up into your awareness, that if it feels right, and run it by your intuition, right? Does it make sense to your head? Does it feel right to your heart? Does it make sense to your gut, right? We have that threefold congruity that we want to have, that coherence between our mind, our heart, and our gut. And when all those three things say, yeah, sure, give it a shot, give it a shot. Most likely it's going to be beneficial for you. And you really don't have a lot to lose with most of these things that pop into your awareness. It's like, okay, making a minor change to a diet or an exercise routine or whatever it might be, listening to a different kind of music or meditating or exercising or doing martial arts or whatever it is, right? That pops into your awareness. There's really not a lot of harm usually in giving something a try for a little while and see, does it make you feel better? Does it give you more energy? Does it deliver as promised of what you were hoping for? So be receptive to the universe and to spirit when it does try to answer your prayers and answer your questions and bring you information. We have to be alert enough and aware enough to say, oh, that's just what I was thinking about. And oh, that seems like that might be an answer, or maybe not an answer. Maybe it's a piece of the puzzle that I'm putting together to make the shift or the change that I'm working on in my life. Okay. I also picked 3 tarot cards like usual, past, present, and future. So the topic today is a really interesting one to me. The Hierophant has to do with authority figures. So if you think about our past, how often were we listening to authority figures that told us how things should have been, right? Have to do this. You should do this. You need to do that, right? And all the rules that were laid out for us and all of the boundaries that were put there. And, you know, it was sometimes very well intentioned, right? It could be our parents or our bosses or our teachers, people that put us in certain boxes and said, do this, now do this, now do this, right? Because they thought they had a formula. Well, what we have to be careful, especially when we move forward to the now, is that we don't pendulum swing to total chaos. So the next card here is the Devil card upside down, and it's saying, look, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You don't have to say, I'm getting rid of all the rules. I'm not doing anything that I should anymore. I'm just going to do what I want. Screw the rules and go down this crazy path, right? We may be tempted to do that sometimes and say, well, if all those rules weren't working, well, the heck with them. Let me try that. Kind of reminds me of what's going on a little bit in our government right now. You know, it's sort of like, okay, they didn't like a lot of the rules. They didn't like a lot of the ways things were organized. And so now the new officials that are in there, they're cleaning house, right? I think they might be swinging that pendulum a little too far to the side, but, you know, we'll see what happens, right? And then we get to the next card here, which is the future, and it's the 7 of Cups. And I like this card because it says there's so many opportunities. Cups is all about blessings, opportunities, what nourishes us. However, this card, it's reminding us not to overindulge, to learn how to say no or not now, because too much of a good thing is still too much, right? So we need to have that balance that says, all right, I will engage with these social engagements. I will do these projects. I'll do these fun things that I like to do. And then when you realize, oh, how many hours of the day do I have and what other responsibilities do I have? Learning how to say no or not now becomes pretty critical. And so this is reminding us that to truly enjoy all the gifts and blessings in our life, it is righteous for us to have a sense of balance and to work for that balance. Because otherwise, it's like you can have all the blessings in the world. It's almost like somebody that's a musician that's collected amazing instruments, but they're so darn busy, they never have a time to play and make music. And you'd be like, well, that's a shame, right? Well, no, yes, it's a shame, but it's also bad management. It's like, wait a minute. You invested so much of your passion and your money and your time into acquiring these amazing gifts and tools. Now you have to have the discipline to make the time to use them, to say no or not now to those other things, so you can have the time to enjoy your passion and enjoy what you want to be doing. Yeah. So that's a little bit about those cards. When I asked about what, and I took my book and I cracked it open and said, okay, what's one of the messages to share today? And again, my book is called A Portal to Potential. It's totally channeled writing. It's meant to be inspirational, give some guidance, encouragement on how to empower you in your life. Has lots of uplifting passages and reminders of some ancient wisdoms, and has lots of questions that it wants you to ponder and ask about. It's on Amazon. It's only $10, and all the profits and proceeds go to the scholarship fund of the Monroe Institute, which is a consciousness institute in Virginia. So anyway, I cracked it open. And I actually got to the point, there's a section there, it's like, how to get the most out of this book. And I started laughing. I'm like, oh, there's a metaphor here. Because one of I'll just read a tiny bit here. It says, I believe in most of life situations, the best way to go forward is to figure out what approach works best for you. I'm a huge advocate for people using and trusting their intuition and inner guidance. So for some people, reading and listening to each chapter fully to absorb all the insights and energies available is the way to proceed. For others, scanning the chapters for the keywords or themes that resonate and call to you, and then doing a deep dive on those sections and pondering their meanings for you may work better. And then for some people, using this book as a spiritual fortune cookie and holding a question or thought in your mind and then cracking the book open to randomly see where it lands and gleaning the personal messages available to you may be the best method. As the author and channel for this information, it is my job and pleasure to share the information. And it's my personal hope that whatever sections you read or listen to will help to uplift you, connect you to a source of energy and information that is comforting, enlightening, and useful to you in whatever ways that serves you best in this moment. So the metaphor of that was how to approach the book. But isn't that also kind of how we can approach life, right? Do we start with, okay, I start at the beginning, I do it step by step by step by step, whether it's a class, whether it's a project, whether it's something I need to get done. You know, some people are very linear and sequential and have to go step by step by step by step. And that's how their life is most effective for them. For other people, they're a little bit more either spontaneous or they would rather make sure they're focusing on the things that are most important to them. And so they might say, okay, let me look at the table of contents, or they would scan like in life. Okay, what should I be focusing on today? And do a deep dive on that one or two couple of things. And then there's other people that just kind of open up to the guidance of spirit and say, okay, tell me what I need to know today. What do I need to be focused on? There's no right or wrong way to go through your life because it's your life, right? You're going to know what style or pattern works best for you. And it's important that you honor that, because if you're in a job that forces you to do things this way, and that's not your style at all, if you're that round peg that's stuck in a square hole, it's not going to be fun. You're going to feel like you're getting pounded all the time. And you're like, no. Go find a round hole that you fit in better. Right. So those are some of the thoughts that were coming to me from spirit. And then the other thing was I wanted to share something that happened this week, because it's about the importance sometime of being able to pull back from the whole situation, work on yourself a little bit, and then come back together and make things more successful. So I sing with a chorale group, and I'm an alto in this chorale. And so we're working on a couple of very challenging pieces. And so last night we had what's called sectionals, where all the altos were together with a pianist who then just worked over our line, our part, for all the songs that we're singing. And all the sopranos had their own practice session, the basses had their own, and the tenors had their own. And it was a very effective session to be able to be with people that were focused on the exact same thing. That was one piece of a bigger puzzle, right, of this whole concert that's going to be, but one of four voices that come together. But we were able to kind of step back and rehearse our specific piece. And so it really got me thinking as I came home. It's like, how many times in life are we willing to kind of pull ourselves out of a situation to really work on ourselves so that we can get better? And then we come back together and we can make much more beautiful music and have better harmonies and be more confident in our interactions with that group or with that other person. So the metaphor there was just as effective for me, whether we're working on a relationship with our family members or our spouse, whether we're working with colleagues at our workplace or job, whether we are in any other kind of relationship or situation where others are involved. And sometimes if we're like feeling like, it's not flowing as well, we're not making beautiful music yet, instead of leaving it on the other person to figure it out, or the other group to figure it out, why not take the initiative and say, let me pull back my energy a little bit and let me practice here. Let me work on what I need to. Let me figure out what I can do that will help others, when we come back together, make it more harmonious, more peaceful. Sometimes we're too serious and in other situations, and we have to learn how to lighten it up a little bit. Sometimes we're too playful and we don't take things seriously enough, and that offends others. Sometimes we work so hard and we put our bar and those expectations of how we push ourselves, we put that on others, and they don't have that same bar. And then we start judging them by our standards instead of judging them by what the situation calls for, right? So there's a wisdom sometimes in breaking away from the bigger group, working on yourself, and coming up with what will help create more harmony in that workplace, in my home, in my relationships with others, and then bringing that back and kind of showing by example. It's like, oh yeah, I took this time to work on myself. I think you've probably all heard the phrase, be the change you want to see in the world, right? Don't expect others to do it first. Don't expect others to change. You have to change how you interact with them in order to help elicit the changes that you want to see, right? So if you want more peace, be the peacemaker. You want more creativity, find a way to share your thoughts of creativity. You want to solve the problems, brainstorm and figure out, well, how would you do it? And then propose those things. And then you can start the whole process. But if you bring something to the table, if you show the other party, whether it is your spouse, your family, your friends, your community, your workplace, your project mates, your hobby mates, it would always benefit you to go first and do the work and then bring something to the table to share and say, hey, I've come up with this idea. What do you think? Right? Instead of always expecting that others are going to do the heavy lifting, you do some of the heavy lifting first. And then see how that changes in your world or your life. I saw very briefly somebody had flashed a question about dreams. Let me see if I find that here. Okay, so Christiana asked, I've had dreams come true and have insanely vivid dreams. Is there a way to hone that gift in? Yes, absolutely. So if you want to become better at remembering your dreams, you want to keep a dream journal. So anything that we pay attention to and we do on a regular basis, we start to train our subconscious mind like, hey, this is important to us, right? So if every night, first thing you do is whenever you wake up, right, before you go pee or get a drink of water or have your first cup of coffee or whatever, right, before you do anything, you sit down and you ask yourself, what did I remember from my dreams? What do I remember from the night? Before you go to bed, you program it and you say, tonight I will remember my dreams, or tonight I want to have a dream that will help me problem solve this area or work on this relationship or whatever it happens to be, right? So you can actually program it. There's a whole field of dream work called lucid dreaming, where you can train yourself to recognize you're in a dream while you're in the dream, and then utilize that to kind of explore and problem solve right from within the dream itself. There's all kinds of good information. The Monroe Institute actually has a course on lucid dreaming that's taught by two gentlemen from one's from Italy. I forget where the other one's from. I think South America, but they're amazing. And, they've had incredible results with helping people to get in touch with DreamWorks. And I'm sure there's other places that teach that. But the easiest thing that you can do is before you go to bed at night, you state a very clear intention. I want to remember my dreams. I will remember my dreams. I would like to dream about whatever the topic is, right? And then whenever you wake up, if you wake up at 2 a.m, before you hop up to pee or anything, just ask yourself, what do I remember? And turn on the light and write. Now, if you have a partner and turning on the light can be a problem, there's actually little pens that you can have that light up. And so you can see the paper you're writing on. And it just has, it's like the tiniest little light, but it's enough in the dark to be able to write in your journal without waking up who's sleeping next to you in bed, if anybody is. So when you wake up in the middle of the night, if you wake up 2 or 3 times, every time you wake up, the very first thing you do is you train yourself to say, what do I remember? And write that down. And what'll happen is if, as you go on and on, you'll start to get more pieces of the puzzle. It'll become more vivid, more clear, more specific, more aligned, because you're following through. You're telling spirit on the front end, I want to remember my dreams. This is important to me. And then you are showing that it's important because you're devoting time to it. Every time you wake up, you're like, okay, I'm ready. What do I remember? And you're writing it down. If there was a picture you remember, draw or sketch the picture, right? If there was an impression or feeling you had. So maybe you can't remember the details of the dream, but you remember it's like, oh, I had a dream. I could swear it had something to do with my cousin Nari, who's a nurse, and something interesting that happened to her in the hospital. Okay, so maybe you can't remember the specifics, but it was that. Or maybe it's just a feeling like, wow, I had this dream and I just feel so positive. I feel like some amazing blessing's going to happen. Like I can't wait for this day. I just feel like the dream was this harbinger of great news, right? So as you devote consistency and time and effort to it, you will see that your dreams become more and more specific and more active and interactive and regular. So that's probably the best advice I can say is program it before you go to bed. And then as you wake up each time, you write down whatever you can, keep track of the journal. And one of the things that's fun to do also is you can read back over your journal, your dream journal, before you meditate. Because what that'll do is you'll start to see patterns. And if you think about it, meditation is sort of, it's like a waking dream, right? You're shifting your consciousness to an altered state, which is very similar to what happens when you're dreaming. And so it can allow you then to synthesize like, oh, in one dream, there was something about a tree. And then another dream, there was something about a garden. And then another dream, there was something about plants. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. I get it. I see what the message is as you're building. It's like sometimes it's getting pieces of a puzzle, and each dream or snippet of the dream is just one piece. And so don't give yourself too much pressure of like, I have no idea what this dream means, right? What'll happen is when you do it after a month and you see a month's worth of dreams and snippets in there, all of a sudden a message will emerge, a bigger picture will come to your awareness. There are some dreams that are precognitive and very specific about things that may happen in your life. Those dreams you definitely want to pay attention to. And sometimes you'll notice, especially if you're scribing and writing about them, you'll notice that they have a different quality to them. They feel different. Sometimes they're in color and your other dreams are in black and white, or vice versa. Or sometimes they will have a narrator or another voice that comes in the dream that's there to help guide you and help you interpret and understand what it is, if it's more of a prophetic type of dream. If you get one of those kind of dreams, a prophetic dream that is about somebody else, somebody that you care about, and you're like, well, geez, I don't know if this is a real dream, a prophecy, or whether this is something my subconscious just made up. What I would ask you to consider is, what is the message of the dream? So let's say you dreamed about an ex-boyfriend having a car accident and getting hurt and winding up in the hospital. So one of the things you could do is say, all right, is it my subconscious looking at the train wreck of my emotions that's on the other side of this telling me you need to heal? And, and that was me just projecting. Or did I get all of the signs? It was in color. I had a narrator. I had so much detail. I know it's a prophetic dream. Then the question is, what do I do about it? Well, most of the times you get a dream that's prophetic so that you can warn the other person. And you might say, well, it was an ex. Well, it doesn't matter. They're still a human being. There's still somebody that you were connected to deeply energetically. Otherwise, you wouldn't be dreaming about them. And so, you send a text or you send an email or you send a word by friend. If you're still friends enough on the phone, you can talk, or you send the message through a mutual friend or family member. And you say, hey, not for nothing, I just had this dream. Please be extra careful when you're driving, because I had this dream that, you were driving over, on this road and you hit a patch of wet leaves that blew in the road and your car skidded and wound up and you got hurt. So if you find yourself on that road and you see a patch of leaves, just slow down, and take it easy. So this is something that, you can tell the difference a lot of times, because especially if you pay attention to your dreams in your journal, you'll start to notice that certain have a different quality to them. But not all dreams are going to be prophetic. A lot of times they are our ways of us to process and kind of get into what's going on. Okay, let's see. Somebody has a question here. Dreams of people are different. I know. And we'll give them a second. The context. So sometimes we're going to have dreams that are heads up from spirit about people that will show up in our lives at another time. And the reason that we have the dream is so that they'll seem familiar when they show up. We'll be more open to connect with them. We'll be more open to say, oh, who are you? I don't know, but you seem familiar to me. And at least I'll be open to say hi. Or it could be the icebreaker of, oh my God, you look just like somebody that was in a dream of mine last night. How weird is that? And then here you are standing here at the gas station pumping right next to me. Hi, my name's Alethea. Who are you? So you never know if it's, spirits, the hand of spirit gives you that dream as a premonition and helps you to meet people so that you'll go out of your comfort zone and shift into a different pattern. Right. So dreams are really cool. You can have a lot of fun with them. And like I said, you can program them to do different things. Grizz, do you have any thoughts on dreams? Do you want to add something to that?
Dreams. Yeah, I'm actually Roy Orbison, right?
Yeah.
So, but a lot of people, like you said, need to keep a dream journal. We talk about that a lot on different shows, and people don't think about it because people don't remember their dreams when they wake up or when they go to the bathroom. Dreams are telling you something. They can be not all dreams, because what you watch on TV, you can dream about. What you eat can cause dreams, right? So, but if you have some reoccurring dreams over and over, that is trying to tell you something. You got to be mindful about that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And especially those reoccurring ones. Yep. Or ones that like they're similar theme. Like you dream of a Christmas tree, and then you dream of a pine tree, and then you dream of a palm tree, and then you dream of a apple tree. And you're like, what the hell is with all these trees? Right. And it's like, so it gives you something to meditate on and think about, like, okay, well, what does a tree mean to me? Oh, and by the way, don't waste your money on dream books, folks, because your dreams are your dreams. It is your own subconscious and spirit way of connecting with you. So, you can read for ideas and say, okay, so if you wind up having a dream where your teeth are falling out, when you eat that cob of corn or whatever it is, and your teeth are falling out, falling teeth mean that you are afraid of speaking in public. I don't know. Like they'll say things like that. It's like, I don't know. Maybe that is, maybe that isn't. But what's true for you is what matters. So if you dreamed about a giant spider, in your dream, and you're looking up in a book, well, what do spiders mean? Well, you know, there's some things that have an energy, like in Native American cultures, you know, there's different animal totems, and yeah, you know, certain things like an eagle has a certain quality and a bear has a certain quality, and right, you know, so there's conventions that are out there in the ethers. So that might be something that you're tapped into. You know, so if you do like a power animal meditation and you get a squirrel, you're like, dang, I got a squirrel. Well, don't diss a squirrel, man. Squirrels are industrious, right? They're going all the time, right? Right? So you won't say, well, dang, I wanted the jaguar or the cheetah. It's like, well, you know what comes to you for a reason. And it should give you some inspiration. It should give you some guidance. And so same thing with your dreams, right? What are the archetypes that you're seeing in the dreams? What are the messages that keep coming up over and over and over again? What do they mean to you? Because dreams are subjective. It is your subconscious, conscious, and superconscious mind coming together to present something to you. Sometimes it's just processing, as Grizz said, whatever's going on. Sometimes it's that nasty burrito you ate too late at night going,
yeah, right.
Right? What were you thinking eating this so late? And other times it's spirit trying to plant some seeds or give you some messages or more pieces of the puzzle about things that your mind, see, you think your mind is focused on just this right now. So if you're listening to me and Grizz right now, you're tuned in here, like, yeah, part of your conscious mind is here, but it's like this subroutine is going. Our minds are these amazing meaning-making machines that are constantly going, which is why if there was some word that you were trying to find earlier today, and I'm like, what the heck was that word? I can't remember what that word is. Dang, dang, dang. You know, you go about your business and you're having a conversation with somebody else, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, it was ergonomics. That was that word I was trying to think about. Where did that come from? That's because your brain is processing all the time. Your energy is still working on all the problem solving, creatively manifesting issues, all the things that you have said, this is what I want to be doing and creating in my life. There is a part of your consciousness that is churning and working on it all the time. So one of the ways that they communicate that with you is through your dreams and through that. Oh, somebody, you missed the show. I think you can watch recordings of these things. They will be posted.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Go out to Bigfoot Outlaw and click on it.
Yep.
She's got her own channel and her own spot. Another thing people don't realize too is random thoughts.
Yes. And those random thoughts aren't just random, right? Why did that just pop into your head? That kind of circles back around beautifully, Grizz, to what we were saying before. What are those things that just show up, right? That just from out of left field, they come into your life. Pay attention to those things, because a lot of times those are the answers to questions or pieces to the puzzle that spirit is presenting to you so that you can assemble it when you have all the pieces. You're like, oh, yeah, that fits here. Oh, that's another angle. That's another way of looking at it. So, you know, the universe is benevolent. We have so many guides, angels, benevolent interdimensional beings, loved ones in spirit, aspects of self, higher dimensions, our soul self, all of this trying to help us have the most wonderful experience possible, so that we can fulfill the measure of our creation and be all our soul meant to be and accomplish all we wanted and meant to accomplish in this lifetime, on this side of the veil, on this planet at this time. We have help, and it comes to us from all these different sources. So paying attention, and one of those ways definitely is through dreams and random thoughts. And by the way, when you meditate, and your meditation could be, I'm in the shower and all of a sudden I have all these flashes. You don't have to be sitting there chanting Om with candles and incense burning to call it a meditation. You can meditate as you're doing dishes or mowing your lawn or pick, you know, whatever for you kind of opens your mind up, and then different thoughts come in, right? Different ideas come in, different pictures come in. When we expand our consciousness out and we quiet the normal day-to-day chatter of the busyness that's around us, we allow information to flood into our awareness. And if we're smart, we make note of that, so you can go back to your dream journal and say, oh, I just had this flash that a tree is really me. Oh, so when I'm having all these dreams about all these different trees expressing in different ways in different seasons, it's really encouraging me to develop different gifts and aspects of self and share different things at different times with different people. And right? They have those kind of epiphanies, but you won't have those if you don't allow yourself to see the patterns. And if you think, oh, I'll just remember, no, you won't. Write it down. I don't care if you do it digitally. You can have it on your phone. You can have a big whole notepad on your phone. I'm old school. I like notebooks and pieces of paper because it's just easier for me. But use whatever method works best for you. And see what delight comes in. Oh my God, our hour's up again. How did these go so fast? How is this? See, this is time warp.
Crazy.
What's that? Rocky Horror. Let's do the time warp.
Right.
Right. Woo, off we go. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. Was there any other burning question that we didn't get to there?
No, you answered them all. I was trying to keep up with them while I was drinking my Theraflu.
Cool. All right. Well, I hope you feel better, sir. And hey, like I said, look up that Ella campaign and Blue Vervain. Give it a shot since it came up into the awareness, and you're the first person I'm in contact with who's having cold symptoms since I heard about it. Who knows? Maybe that was all for you, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's been a great show, everybody, and thanks for tuning in. And if you haven't liked and subscribed to our channel and our show, please do so and show us support. We greatly appreciate it. And
go check out my website, AletheaJacob.com, and go check out the information about that Sedona retreat if you're so inclined. Happy to answer any questions you have offline. If you're interested and want to come play with us. Please tune in again next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. And Grizz, anything you're doing tonight again, or you
drinking more fluids? No, just drinking more fluids.
All right. Everybody send some good healing energy towards Grizz as well. All right.
Thank you all. Good night, everybody. Bye.
Bye to yourself. Love you. Bye now.